Will AI bots be ordering our takeaways in the future?
Potentially. I truly believe this agentic will be a differentiator here.
What I think will happen is people will use search engines less. So like having all of your inventory be surfaced to these chatbots that people are spending a lot more time with is, I think, the core of where e-commerce should focus on.
Buying clothes is an emotional kind of experience. And I think if we completely outsource it to a bot to do it for us, we kind of do something with it.
You're listening to Retail Disrupted, a podcast that explores the latest industry developments and the trends that will shape how we shop in the future. I'm your host, Natalie Berg. If you tuned in last week, you'll have heard Pernilla Nyberg telling us all about how Estee Lauder is using AI. It was such a fascinating conversation, and Pernilla shared so many use cases for AI, everything from product development through to store design. The thing that I'm always most fascinated by is how AI is enhancing the customer experience. Because for me, this is what's most visible. We're all consumers. We all, look to technology to help us to shop, to get better deals, to help with discovery. And so for me, I thought it was most interesting to hear about the Joe Malone scent finder. If we just kind of hone in on fragrance, this is the one thing we still can't do online. We still can't smell perfume through a screen. And I don't think we ever will be able to. I mean, let's check back in sort of 2036 and see where we are. But I thought it was really interesting how AI is bridging this gap, and it's been very successful for them. So this AI chatbot launched on the Joe Malone site, I think it was in October last year. And since then, online shoppers who use the Joe Malone AI scent finder made purchases at almost 2 times the rate of those who didn't. So real use cases for AI, real tangible results from investing in AI. Super interesting. On today's episode, we are going to be continuing with the theme of AI-powered personalization. And joining me are Daniel Chasle, Chief Data Officer at New Look, Keyur Govande, Chief Technology Officer at Depop, and Daniel Bos, Senior Director of Data Analytics and AI at JustEatTakeaway.com. This episode was recorded live on stage at London Tech Week's AI and Retail event. What are some of the most significant shifts that you're seeing in terms of customer behavior today?
So what the immediate shifts, what I see is that people have the desire to, whenever they touch upon any of those platforms, which we all have, is that this experience is as personalized as possible. I see that at the moment is becoming more important, more valued by customers than ever. In the past, it was nice to have that you were in a certain segment and that the personalization was a little bit tailored, but now people really demand it. So that's an immediate shift which I see, which AI is promising and what people demand.
At Depop, we're seeing a real meaningful shift in users leveraging our feed, our suggestions for them for items that they would like, rather than typing in queries into our search engine, which used to be the older behavior. So customers are really sort of leaning into us having a deep understanding of their taste and what we think their next purchase should be. And that is coming from the fact that we're just able to better know their profiles, like what their likes might be, rather than being bound by traditional segmentation or personas, which you can only have so many of. But with AI, we're able to extract deeper meaning from their activity on the site, and then surface to them relevant items in different sort of parts of the experience, and that really is driving sort of their engagement with our platform.
I think from what I see, that so we're in value fashion retail. And so our consumers are distressed. They've got less money to spend. They've got more opportunity. And so we see our customers often being less loyal because they are going from kind of where they can get the value from. And so I think that's where kind of personalization really has the opportunity for us to try and keep that loyalty and keep the customer by offering them a better experience than where they can possibly go and get clothes from this place, from this place, from this place. And we're seeing kind of our biggest two disruptors in terms of vintage, so people buying secondhand, and the Chinese introductions into the market, so Shein. So they're a tech company who just happen to sell clothes, and they do it better and faster than anybody at the moment. So for us, we're competing against that kind of market. So that's where personalization for us really starts to be something that we can try and use to differentiate.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of competition, and then you've got these new disruptors, the Sheins and the Temus, and even TikTok Shop, right? I think that's becoming more of a credible e-commerce platform as well. So I'd like to quickly get a sense check from each of you. Now, most retailer leaders that I speak to tell me that AI is going to be as transformative as the internet. I'd like to get your take. Is there an element of hype when it comes to AI, or is it genuinely going to revolutionize the industry?
There is massive opportunity, and it is, and I do believe it will be that transformative in the future. There is obviously opportunity to be had now. I think we're a fashion retailer that's been in business for over 50 years. And with being in business for over 50 years, we've got a lot of legacy of old systems and things like that that we need to deal with. So we're not starting from a shiny startup that can just plug in and kind of automate everything. So we're dealing with where we put our investment in the things that drive the customer value. You've got to really choose where you put that value. So how do we do some of that whilst also addressing, we've got big ERP legacy systems to address as well, and we have limited spend. So where does it go? I think the hype, it is a hype in terms of how quickly and how easy it is to implement. I think people are sold the magic bullet side of it. It isn't easy, I think, to industrialize it. And especially if you're thinking about that autonomous type of AI, especially for more complex use cases, no one's really doing that at scale and well. I think people are automating processes really well. And we saw some of the examples of where you've got kind of agents that are starting to really show real value. But I think it is difficult. And I think you have to tread carefully in certain spaces.
And I guess start with the customer, right?
100%.
Work out what that need is, and everyone's AI strategy is going to be different, right? Keyur, I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think you put it really well in terms of where it can, like the ways that our customers can actually leverage AI. So at Depop, for example, one of the biggest use cases for us is what we call like one-click listing. We want users to just send us their photos, and then we will do all the heavy lifting of like setting up the item for sale on Depop. And that actually is a use of AI that our customers do love. I think otherwise, like the hype around the industry, like certainly tends to create a little bit of resistance from people like being sent to a bot to do things. But use cases like this where we are actually simplifying and making it sort of much more seamless to do what would be a tedious activity, like taking photos, writing titles, writing descriptions, tags, and simplifying it is where we are seeing a lot of value. And similarly, I think on the customer experience side, like when people run into issues, I think that is another place where users like just want faster answers. I think it is to find those kinds of sweet spots where we're addressing a real customer problem, but with AI that I think is where there is like a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and I guess for your marketplace, if you make it easier for buyers, easier to set for sellers, you're just going to encourage more people using that platform and just sort of
Yes,
that
exactly.
flywheel.
That getting that flywheel going is like really important for us. And again, like simplifying things using AI, both for the sellers but also for the buyers, like is the key. I think AI is helping us understand our buyers better and get that flywheel going.
Daniel, how about you? Is it overhyped?
No, well, it depends. It depends. So I think the investments are very steep, I must say. But I do believe that, well, Just Eat Takeaway is a three-sided marketplace, and in all of those areas. So we have the consumer. Everyone needs to well, in our case, hyper focused on the customer. That's what we all live and breathe. But we also, in order to be a three-sided marketplace, we have a partner. It could be a restaurant, a flower shop, a grocer, and we also have a courier who who delivers those. So in all of those three parties, which, well, you could look at from the angle of being obsessive customer focused, obsessive partner focused, and obsessive courier focused. And in all of those areas, there are different processes which were, well, the now available AI products, which we just had seen, could play a role in. So I do think that it is transformative. It is truly transformative, and it's also like, it's not only one piece we want to optimize for. No, it will be part of our day to day in all parts of our organization. So that's why I believe it's really transformative at the moment.
You can sense whether something's relevant to somebody just from past purchase behavior. But to really personalize, it comes to what is the mission for that shop. So I might be somebody who always shops denim or shops jumpers or likes certain types of things. And so all those things are relevant for me. But what of that is relevant for now, for this moment, for this mission that I'm buying for? I'm buying an outfit, I'm styling for something. What is it I need in that session? So it's detecting, it's your machine learning models underneath that determine what products in your catalog are relevant to the different customers. And then in the moment, which are the ones do you surface for that situation? And I think that's the difference between personalization and relevance.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. And I know, Daniel, when we spoke previously, you talked about the difference between your Monday self and your kind of Sunday self with the kids. So I think it's also interesting, as I said in the intro, the distinction of, immediacy with when you're ordering food and you just want it now and you want to be, you want to find results that are relevant and they're there, right? Versus discovery, where maybe you want some help with like shop the look or other ways that maybe AI can enhance customer experience. So I'd love to just get your take on kind of hyper-personalization and generally the opportunities with AI. Like, what are you most excited about?
So I'm personally most excited about the potential to hyper personalize in journey. Because normally when well, everyone here has a lot of data about their customer. So typically what everyone is doing is doing segmentation on historical data sets, and that, well, that poses like a certain segment, a certain interest group, a certain, well, you could use to personalize the website, well, your apps, and tailor the journey for your for your respective customer. But I think the opportunity what we have now is that in journey, your and what I mean in journey, when you click through the app, click through the website or wherever you are, that, like, these micro moments, like the click left or right, influences your personalization, your behavior. So you're not in a certain bucket anymore. No, your bucket or your recommendations, in order to become, well, in order for the company to be as relevant as possible, can be done in journey. So I think that speed, what we have now, the power with AI is truly phenomenal and well, groundbreaking.
I think I'll chime in by saying, like, it is really important to build the right infrastructure to be able to do that as well. And that is where a lot of the fun engineering challenge lies, in order to adapt to what the user is doing in real time, and then to delight them with a recommendation, for example, that we think that they would really like. And a lot of energy like needs to go into doing and having that plumbing like set up really well so that you can do that. An area that is also interesting to me personally, again, like Depop as a company has been around for about a decade, is in the sort of like programming assistance side of AI. Like, I think that one again, like, is having tremendous hype around it, but there is like something there where you can unlock a little bit more intelligence, a little bit more productivity for our teams by leveraging it the right way.
Great. So I'm going to stick with you two for a minute. So Daniel, you can relax for a sec. We're going to talk about fashion. Fashion, as we know, is one of probably two categories, I would also include food here, that's been slower than the rest to shift online, or stores still play a very important role, for good reasons, because you want to try stuff on. And now I'm curious to know whether you feel that AI might power the next wave of e-commerce adoption in that category, because we know that AI is already transforming the way we buy clothes with things like Shop the Look, which we just talked about. So AI-powered styling, virtual try-ons. There's a lot of innovation going into getting sizing right. And if you get that right, you're going to solve the returns issue. How excited should we be about this?
As a secondhand fashion retailer or secondhand fashion destination, I think we are very excited about the possibilities here. Again, because Depop doesn't usually have every size of a particular item. So being able to solve fit and sizing is a big deal, and we're keeping a close eye on some companies that are trying to solve that problem. And then secondly, I think because again, of the marketplace that we are, we recently launched a product called Outfits, where you can sort of generate a full look for yourself and then shop that look on Depop. And that is again another way for our users to have a better understanding of what's for sale on Depop, and then to put it all together into something that we think that they would like. And in the future, I can certainly see that product being iterated on in a way where we are making those suggestions of hey, you put in this dress, and so how about this necklace or this bracelet that goes along with it? So those are some really transformative ways that we can keep the merchandise moving on Depop again, because our inventory is so dynamic. Being able to surface the right things at the right time is the big unlock for us.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right.
I think New Look's been on quite a journey. So if I go back 2-3 years, our e-com capability was kind of only really exploded because of COVID. So we had, as a result, kind of invested heavily in e-com as a result of that. 2-3 years ago, we had a legacy data warehouse. We had no ability to do any data science. Today, we're fully migrated onto a Databricks technology stack. We're deploying data science at scale now. We've integrated a CDP, which shows amperity, and that's given us that unified view of the customer. And we're really looking at that intelligent value chain and looking at how we do the whole product piece from start to finish. So that, as a business, we produce most of our garments. So we have a small amount of concessions, but we are predominantly own brand. So we agree with manufacturers what we're going to produce, we size it, we fit it, and as a result, we then manufacture it and deploy it. So we're looking at that kind of full end-to-end value chain, and how do we tackle the sizing problems? Well, actually, how do we get more of the insight of the sizing problems into the design phase earlier? So we've just rolled out an agentic solution to automate the fitting room process, where we're getting samples in. And as part of that, we're then going to feed the insight of returns into the hands of technicians who are fitting the garment, so that they can see that. Can we quickly scrape the fit returns and put them onto the site, but not just say this product is having a fit problem? It's actually which sizes, because we saw a problem kind of in the summer over swimwear. It wasn't all the sizes. It was the core sizes were fine, but it was some of the sizes that weren't fitting as well. So how do you put that insight on the right sizes to say, well, actually, these sizes fit slightly large, these ones are fine? Because then you're being more specific, and you don't necessarily need to be knowledgeable about the customer to do that. You just need to know how it's sitting in general. But we're super excited about what we can achieve going forward with that understanding of the customer, a much richer understanding of the product, captured from design all the way through to the point we deploy it onto site, and linking the customer. And that styling and that mission piece I talked about is really, I think, how we will differentiate ourselves from a Shein, from others who aren't necessarily as understanding of the products and how they should be styled together. And we really want to bring that retail fashion expertise to the customer through the way in which we can engage.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It sounds like it could unlock a lot of new opportunities. I'd love to get your thoughts on agentic AI, because we know that this is coming. It's already here in certain markets where retailers are thinking about how they sell to bots as well as humans, and they're going to have very different needs. Humans are still going to want the inspiration and the joy of shopping, especially in a category like fashion. Daniel, what's your take? Will AI bots be ordering our takeaways in the future?
Potentially. We also have our bot available at the moment. But I think in general, if you see, most likely shopping will be much more agentic, just like what the example we just had seen. But I think even in a global, bigger scale, is that maybe different retailers. Well, if whatever the agentic solution will be, is that you query for, well, maybe running shoes as the example, and that you get then different providers shown, or different options presented to you. So yeah, that I truly believe this agentic will be a differentiator here. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm maybe a little bit on the bearish side of like agentic changing fashion commerce anyway. But there is like something about having, I think what I think will happen is people will use search engines less. So like having all of your inventory be surfaced to these chatbots that people are spending a lot more time with is, I think, the core of where e-commerce should focus on. So, generative engine optimization, GEO, like is the new buzzword. And how do we get our inventory synced with OpenAI and with Gemini and things like that? But I still personally, anyway, like do believe that people still want to like shop for clothes based on like having a little bit of a serendipitous experience rather than not. Right now, anyway, like a lot of the sizing information isn't precise. So there is like a little bit more work to be done before, a generative experience can actually serve up the perfect item for you. But maybe, I mean, we'll see like how that goes and whether that actually does get good enough that like customers are willing to trust it.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. So fashion buying, buying clothes is an emotional kind of experience. And I think if we completely outsource it to a bot to do it for us, we kind of lose something with it. So it's a balance. I also completely agree with your point there. Conversational shopping, that's the experience that you want. I don't want to shop and click and filter. I want to tell it what I want, and I want you to bring it back. And I think the to slightly counter, I think the danger if we outsource it to ChatGPT, we lose touch with the customer. So we need to work out how to create that experience in our own retail estates and possibly avoid. I was chatting to the global head of retail for Databricks, and he said the same thing. Is be careful of outsourcing it to ChatGPT because you'll lose the customer and eventually you won't be necessary. And so that we need to kind of work out what's our role in that ecosystem. How do we own the customer and experience? And yes, maybe we bring that to ChatGPT, but you are engaging and it comes back to New Look and to the retailers. I think that's something we need to be careful about. But I think the new experiences will benefit the customers. The way in which you can have that conversation freely, and I like the chat interface, but I almost want the website to kind of move with me. So rather than kind of just losing the old look, I want to kind of have some of that, but have the chat interface with it. So it's styling for me, giving me recommendations and other things all in the bigger window. And I like that as an idea. It's blending the two, and I think that would be really powerful.
Thank you for listening to Retail Disrupted. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the podcast, please leave a rating or review or share it with others. It really makes a difference.